Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Nevada is a whole different animal than Iowa or New Hampshire. Not only is Nevada bigger with population centers in Reno and Las Vegas, but it's much more diverse than the previous two states. Nevada has a large Hispanic population, especially among those who work in labor at the casinos and hotels. Appealing to them has been easier for Sanders and Biden than Buttigieg, Klobuchar, or Warren. They'll be on stage tonight and are on the ballot here.
Yeah, guess what? Translation, people. From our good buddy Alex Stone there. Translation, it's not all white people. It's not all white people. This will be very interesting to see. Tonight's the first debate that I'm actually going to pay some real attention to. I watch the other debates, and usually I'm on air. I'm doing a bunch of different things. Tonight I'm going to really pay attention to it in a different way because Bloomberg's on stage. That right there is very interesting. Bloomberg's on stage. How does he address the mess? The minute he got to the point where he was on, and it realized, and a lot of people realized that this guy has a chance to make some noise. And we've been saying he's going to make some noise, right? I've been saying he's going to make some noise. He's going to make some noise. Tonight's the night. They've come at him hard. He's a racist. He's all of these things. He's just, you name it, he is it, right? He's a billionaire buying his way into this. It's the same thing over and over and over again from the people that are taking him on. But he does have to address some issues, some of which are stop and frisk, right? Redlining, which we touched on a little bit yesterday. And there's just a lot that he's going to have to address. And tonight's the night for him where if he comes out and he's flat, that's not good. If he comes out and he really gets into it, because everybody's seeing the momentum Bloomberg's picking up. Everybody's looking at it. Buttigieg is looking at it. Warren is looking at it. Bernie's definitely looking at it. Klobuchar is looking at it. They're all looking over. And Biden, God knows, I mean, the reality is, I think if Biden was where Bloomberg thought he was going to be, he wouldn't be in this race. But they're all looking at him and they realize this is it. We got to make sure that we come hard for this guy, because if he picks up the momentum, he is going to definitely lay waste to everybody else out here. And it is going to be what he says between Bernie and him. And there's a lot of questions of who are you, right? You're going to introduce yourself for real to the people of America tonight. You had a chance and you've dropped the ball the first time during the Super Bowl when you came out with the most divisive thing that you could come out with, which is a gun control ad. So you have a second chance to make a first impression to a lot more people tonight. But you have been all over the board.
Black and Latino males aged, let's say, 16 to 25, don't have jobs, don't have any prospects, don't know how to behave in the workplace.
I think we disproportionately stop whites too much and minorities too little.
Xerox it, pass it up all the time. They are male minorities, this one.
Redlining, where banks took whole neighborhoods and said, people in these neighborhoods are poor, they're not going to be able to pay off their mortgages. Tell your salesmen don't go into those areas. Once you started pushing in that direction, banks started making more and more loans where the credit of the person buying the house wasn't as good.
Slowly decrease the benefits or raise the eligibility age for Medicare and for Social Security.
If you show up with prostate cancer, you're 95 years old, we should say, go and enjoy, have a nice cream, live a long life. No cure. You want to know, is somebody a good salesman? Give him the job of going to the Midwest and selling that some man wearing a dress should be in the locker room with their daughter. If you can sell that, you can sell anything.
He's all over the place. He doesn't have the same talking points as the Dems, right? He's a billionaire. They hate that, right? They hate the fact that he's successful. He has said things that they don't agree with. It's not woke enough for them. But at the same time, the Dems have an issue here. The issue is they hear the word socialist, right? When it comes to Bernie, they hear the word socialist and they start to go, okay, hold on a second. While he is not the typical what we're looking for in the wokeness of diversity when it comes to our candidate. He's not Bernie Sanders. He's not Bernie. And they're still trying to figure out who Bernie is. And when you actually sit back for a second and you go and you look through him and his past, understand who this cat is. This cat is a socialist, he is not a Democrat. He is not a Democrat at all.
Sanders had a soft spot for other socialist countries, too. He chose to hold his honeymoon in the Soviet Union. This video shows Sanders singing with his Soviet host. This land was made for you and me. When Sanders returned from Russia, he had lots of praise for the Soviet Union.
Extremely impressed by their public transportation system. In fact, it was the cleanest, most effective mass transit system that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's when he was the mayor of Burlington, Vermont. You listen to some of the stuff, and we're going to talk about it and play some of the stuff. That's real. I mean, if stuff's coming back to bite Bloomberg in the butt, this stuff, why is this stuff not biting Bernie? They don't tell you what they want to do. Castro didn't take over Cuba, right, in his revolution and say, all right, now here's the deal. I want to enslave all of you. I want to control everything you do. I'll let you guys read, right? But outside of that, we're going to stop the growth of anything, and we're going to make sure this island stays about 1950s-ish. And you can have free health care, but everything else you'll depend on is based on me. And if you get out of line, I'll torture you and kill you. And if you don't like that, well, good luck to you guys trying to get across the ocean in a broken refrigerator. It's not the way he came in. It's never the way he comes in. So we'll see. Why aren't these things biting him in the butt? You listen to some of these things as we try to break down who Bernie is. You're going to go, wow, like this guy has tons of praise for people. We talk about, oh, Trump, man, he loves dictators. He loves authoritarians. Daniel Noriega, the USSR, Hugo Chavez, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara. You listen to him talk, and I'm like, well, last time I checked, those weren't the nicest guys in the world. Never bites him in the butt. Why? Because you're too busy looking at the free stuff. Tonight, they'll have a chance to face off. Everything that Bernie despises in this world, a successful person who built something from nothing, who he thinks is trying to buy the campaign victory in the nomination, taking on Bernie, who's offering you everything for free, which you and I both know isn't real. And that's the thing that amazed me. I was talking to a millennial yesterday. And I said, Zoe, who's, he's my producer in one of my other shows. And he and I were sitting there talking. And he says, all of it sounds good. I said, he goes, being here and working with you guys, I know it's not real, but it all sounds good. Of course it sounds good. Who doesn't want free stuff? We all want free stuff. I'd love it. But the last time I checked, free stuff usually is crap. Right? And at the end of the day, we find out it's not free at all. So this will be the first test of what Bloomberg's able to do. If he passes this tonight, could be very interesting. Could be very interesting. Could be very uncomfortable because Bernie's starting to separate himself from the rest. The rest is, as much as I think Buttigieg is a good dude, I just don't think he's got it in him. And as it becomes more diverse and his struggles with people of color, I don't know how that's going to play out. Warren is all but dead in the water, and I think these next 10 days are going to show that. Biden is falling further and further behind, and Klobuchar, you've done great on these, but the reality is you have no momentum afterwards. And even when you do well in the caucuses and you do well in the primaries, you still don't have the money or the momentum. So that leaves what? Bloomberg or Bernie? It's the battle of the bees. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Check out the Instagram as well. Wounded Paw Project, amazing organization. Did you know that on average, I'm sure most of you guys know this, we've talked about it before, veterans, on average, over 20 a day commit suicide. Sad fact. But that's where Wounded Paw Project comes in. Wounded Paw Project was put together. Ernesto tells us all the time. He came back. He was injured. He was struggling. He adopted a dog. Wasn't a service dog. It was just a shelter dog. Daisy was her name. Changed everything in his life. That's when he said, hey, I got to do something. And now Wounded Paw Project rescues dogs that they identify, trains them from shelter dogs to service dogs, and get them to our nation's heroes. There's our furry best friends and our nation's heroes. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and they do just that. Right now, they're looking for any extra truck, car, RV, boat. If it flies, it floats, they'll take it. Donating is easy. Proceeds are used to protect, advocate, and transform shelter dogs into service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their family. Check out all the work they're doing. It is amazing. Go to woundedpawproject.org. Find out how you can give. They also take cash donations. That's woundedpawproject.org, or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729, or woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
The race to contain coronavirus means many people aren't going anywhere.
I am in Omaha, Nebraska, at a quarantine unit.
Jerry Sarati Goldman and her husband Carl are two of more than 300 Americans evacuated from that cruise ship in Japan. Both seemed fine before heading for the U.S., but mid-flight,
when he woke up and I woke up, he was burning up. I went and got the doctor, and they put him in the isolated tent.
Carl Goldman is now getting treatment in a specialized biocontainment unit and waiting for test results.
Yeah, they kicked out some reporters today out of China. Now they're saying they've got to register some sort of special mission. I mean, we're not getting the real story. I don't care what anybody says. We're not getting the real story, right? Because when you hear it from them and then you see other people talk about it, you kind of go, you know, like when you talk to a dog and the dog kind of turns his head and for a moment you think, it totally knows what I'm saying. We've got a connection. Like, that's just it. And the reality is no, we don't know. We don't. What is it? 1,900 deaths? 2,000 deaths? Which is not a lot in the overall scheme of things. But what if it's 4,000 or 5,000? And what if it's, instead of 70,000 infected, it's 150 or 200,000? And what if this is growing at such a rate that it's going to become, because remember, we think of these things in days and hours and weeks. You've got to think of them in months and years. Like the flu epidemic. The flu epidemic wasn't one of those things where we have a flu season and then it's over. It lasted years. And they're already talking about this thing going on into next year and maybe beyond. And then take out the toll of death and sickness and look at some of the other things, like the financial side of stuff, where people who will never be affected directly by the coronavirus may be affected in other ways.
Apple not only is producing, but they manufacture those iPhones in China, but they also sell a lot of iPhones in China. And they're seeing the issue of the coronavirus hit them in both places. And ultimately, they're saying there is a worldwide shortage right now of iPhones, but their sales are also depressed in China, and therefore they will not meet expectations.
Yeah. And that's just one of several. Talked to a few people who are small business owners who says right now it's okay, but if this thing continues on this way and the way that they're starting to do things over there, some of their manufacturers aren't going to be able to get them some of the things they need. And that is that trickle-down effect of the potential of what could happen. So it's very interesting when you look at this. One of the reasons that Xi worries, and look, one of the things I've learned a long time ago is there's a trade-off in everything in life, right? Especially, here we enjoy our freedoms and all kinds of stuff, but the Chinese have some economic freedom because they realized that the Soviet Union had none of those things, and all the things they wanted to do in controlling of people, they were not able to do because they had no economic freedom and they couldn't feed them. So eventually it was about to break, and it did. China's allowed economic freedom, so we can't have our stomping down on people's freedoms and lives without giving them some freedom economically to do things, because when they're so busy worrying about paying for their lives and their cars and travel and all this stuff, they forget about all the other stuff. So when the economy goes down and people start to struggle, you'll find out that they'll raise their voices. When they raise their voices, the government will clamp down harder and harder on it. And that's when the friction comes, and that's when you start to see what happens. Hence the reason why Xi wants to keep this, to quell this as much as possible, because of the fear of what could come out. Because if you take away a man's freedom that they didn't know they had, because you've stomped down on it for most of their lives, and they start to grumble, but you give them something else, that'll satisfy them for a while. But you take away that something else and you have nothing else to offer them, eventually the system crumbles on itself. So we'll see what takes place. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. It'll be very interesting to see, what this looks like in the next week or two. And if we're still talking about this in a month. And this thing has spread and it's gotten to a point where it's becoming, too hard to keep the numbers down and the lie going, then what? Text the program. Check out the Instagram as well. Barr upset, telling some people, hey, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this much longer, especially with him tweeting. We'll touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
To have public statements and tweets made about the department, about our people in the department, our men and women here, about cases pending in the department, and about judges before whom we have cases, make it impossible for me to do my job and to assure the courts and the prosecutors in the department that we're doing our work with integrity.
That's Barr from last week. Very interesting, Barr, because people calling for him to resign, right? So Roger Stone, the recommendation for Roger Stone's, and you guys know who he is, Crazy Roger, was like 3 years or something like that originally. Prosecutors, and you go and you look and they say, okay, what's the recommendation they want is 7 to 9 years. But then you look and essentially they've got okay, well, we're looking at precedents before this. It's not that. The guidelines are more 2 to 4, maybe 3 to 5, 7 to 9 seems a bit much. What happens? Trump comes out, and as he's doing stuff, Barr had already said, no, hold on here. The Department of Justice didn't recommend. You guys recommended that, not the Department of Justice. You guys did. Then there's the big kerfuffle. And it makes it seem like that Barr is essentially a puppet for the president. He comes out, does the interview, and says, hold on a second. I'm no puppet, right? At all. I'm not going to be bullied. But his incessant tweeting is ridiculous.
I cannot do my job here at the department with a constant background commentary that undercuts me.
Yeah, that's his tweeting. Trump yesterday, because Barr is now telling some people close to him, I've had about enough. I'm about ready to bounce. I've had just about enough of this. Maybe it's time for me to go.
Are you making his job impossible?
Yeah, I do make his job harder. I do agree with that. I think that's true. He's a very straight shooter. We have a great attorney general, and he's working very hard. And he's working against a lot of people that don't want to see good things happen, in my opinion. That's my opinion, not his opinion. That's my opinion. You'll have to ask what his opinion is.
I think he said that because people are saying there's a lot of things that you can do right now and that you're going to continue to do. Right? There's a lot of things that are going on out there in the world of chaos because you're the chaos king, right? Anthony calls Barr the drama queen. Trump is the chaos king. Together, they're royalty, if you will. But don't lose Barr. Here's the thing, though. If Barr does resign, it could be a win for the president in a lot of ways the Democrats would hate. And ways that, if you really think, because so many people want him to resign, so many people want him to go away, so many people want him impeached, they want to remove him. Well, what happens then?
If Barr is to resign, then what happens? Then what you probably see is an acting attorney general, not confirmed by the Senate, who is willing to play ball to some degree with the president. And so you may see someone who is even more politicized than what we've seen from Bill Barr. And, you know, when people are calling for Bill Barr to resign, that's something to think about.
Yeah, that's Dan Abrams right there, legal expert, who also happens to be the host of my favorite TV show, Live PD, Fridays and Saturdays night. Catch him. Sean Sticks Larkin. My man Tom. He's right, though. They'll just put an acting AG in there who will be a puppet. I don't think Barr's a puppet. I don't think Barr's a puppet at all, but I think he's stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to Trump. I think he looks and say, a lot of this stuff is ridiculous, it's overdone, but me doing my job, you do your job. You tweeting about all of this stuff, it makes my job look so much more political than it needs to be. It makes my job tougher. It makes me look like a puppet. But he's Trump. That's the thing about it. He's Trump. Trump lives for tweets. Trump lives for this. Trump masterfully used social media to become president. It was a huge part and reason why he became president. And he acknowledges what it means to him.
Social media for me has been very important because it gives me a voice, because I don't get that voice in the press, in the media. I don't get that voice. So I'm allowed to have a voice.
Yeah. And he's not going to stop it. I think that's the thing. So many people I talk to say the same thing. Oh, I could do with his policies. Right? I could do with his politics. And I don't even mind the fighting every once in a while. It's the incessant fighting and the way that he tweets all the time and the way that he starts a fight. He could pick a fight with his shadow. I was talking to somebody who's a huge supporter of Donald Trump yesterday. Says the same thing. He's another on-air host. Says the same thing. They all say the same thing. But I could do with less tweeting. He's never going to give tweeting up. Never, ever, ever going to give tweeting up.
The president has been able to communicate directly with the American people through a social media outlet. It is something that helped propel him to the presidency. It's one of the things the American people love about him is they can communicate directly with him. He's going to keep doing it. It's what he's done from the beginning, and I think it's a very effective way for him to communicate with the American people.
Yeah. That's it. It's his straight hotline to every individual out there that loves him. But like we've always said, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Does the president have a right to tweet about a case? Of course. Just because you can sing, though, doesn't mean you should sing. You can have a voice like Mick Jagger, but you wouldn't want to start belting out honky-tonk woman in church. This is a case where tweeting less would not cause brain damage.
Yeah. But he does. And he's not going to stop. So if you think at some point in time he's going to dial it back, that will never happen. That is never going to happen. He is going to continue to do what Trump does, which is be Trump first and foremost. He is his own worst enemy, and at the same time, he's his best salesman. And he will continue to sell it to his base because he feels he knows his base better than anybody else. And who is anybody else to tell him he's not? Because he's president of the United States, and he got there because of what? Because he knew his base. He directly connects with his base. But it makes everybody else's life around him chaotic and hard, and will continue to do so. And you know, when you go to work for the Trump presidency and inside the administration, that there's a sell-by date. Because at some point in time, you'll either had enough or he'll have enough of you.
Michael Bloomberg isn't even on the ballot here in Nevada, but he will be on the debate stage tonight, leading up to his debut on ballots on Super Tuesday. Bloomberg's team is confident coming in here, telling reporters Joe Biden's campaign has collapsed, and they see it as a three-man race for president: Bloomberg, Sanders, and Trump.
At this point in time, it's hard to argue. I mean, Biden is, for a lack of better term, flatlined, right? Warren flatlined a while ago. Buttigieg is interesting because a lot of those suburban, voters like a lot of what he has to say. In real life, is him being gay going to be a problem? In some areas, I absolutely think it's going to be. I really do. For me, it's not a problem. I care less. I don't care. I just, are you competent enough to do the job? But saying all of that, he doesn't resonate with people of color, right? The Latinos, we'll see. African Americans, we know he struggles with. So there's a lot in there. Warren, Klobuchar, sorry, the excitement's not there. Tom Steyer, why are you still on stage? Why are you? Is there any way Bloomberg could just give him back his money that he's already put into this thing and just tell him good luck? So I think it is right now a two-horse race in the race to become the nominee. And that is Bloomberg and Sanders. And let's remember who Sanders is. And I'm going to be calling it out all day. Let's go back and talk about Sanders and talk about some of the things that he loves that isn't being brought up.
What about the poverty that socialism helped create?
American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
Not here. That's a good thing? That's a good thing they're lining up for food? Know this, the thing about socialism and what he wants, which he'll never get, I don't foresee him ever getting it, because there's a lot of Democrats who would stand in his way before the Republicans would ever have a chance to stand in his way. But the one thing that they don't tell you is where they want to take the country, right? His praise of Castro, Chavez, Che Guevara, Noriega, the Soviet Union. You can go on and on for people that are strong men who've decimated and destroyed countries. Always picks only the best. Well, Cuba, look at Cuba. Look at that. Everybody can read. That's great. Everybody has health care. Yeah, but it's 1950s. That's it. It's 1950. They're oppressed. They're beaten. They're tortured. They're controlled. Oh, but they all have health care. He is a socialist. And tonight, Bloomberg will have a chance to call him out for a lot of these things while they call Bloomberg out for, you're a racist. You've said so many bad things, right? You once, what's the whole thing? You called somebody who was transgender an it? I mean, they're gonna come. Now, how he addresses these things tonight will be mightily important. And I think he's got a chance to either really surge or look tonight like he is wanting and potentially see this thing go south quick. But if he gets through this tonight with flying colors, he's right. It's between him and Bernie. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Raycon. Hear me talk about Raycons. Like, what are Raycons? I saw a guy a couple weeks ago, played soccer, went to get a drink afterwards, right? So, and there's a guy rocking out, and he's fixing the slushy machine. And he's got Raycons in. I'm like, do you like your Raycons? He's like, I love them. They're earbuds, the best earbuds around. There's no dangling wires. There's no stems. Half the price. So you're going to pay half the price for better quality, better design, cool, stylish, better fit. Yeah, sign up. E25s, 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, more compact design. What's it offer you? Nice noise isolating fit. Perfect for on-the-go listening, working out, taking phone calls, you name it. Unlike all these other crazy earbuds and stuff that are out there, the price point is amazing. Sound quality is awesome. And they tested it by taking the people that matter. When Ray J put these together, he took it to pop stars and rock stars and country stars that he worked with in the music industry and said, listen to these, Snoop Dogg. What do you think? He's like, I love them. There you go. You will too. Save big right now. On top of it being about half the price of all these other things, you're going to save 15%. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Dana Steele thinks it's time to retire the phrase, okay, boomer.
I'm a boomer, and for the most part, boomers are open to change.
The entrepreneur who now runs the website Your Daily Success Tip says most boomers don't consider change to be a dirty word.
We realize it's not the end of the world. It may even turn out to be better than you could ever imagine.
Steele says every generation brings something new and unique, especially to the workplace.
You can combine those new and unique things. You are going to succeed no matter what.
Yeah. Okay, boomer. I always find it funny. Anthony hates that. Producer Anthony hates okay, boomer. It's like, was that professor said, it's akin to calling people the N-word. It's not. Get over yourself. I'm in the generation that nobody cares about. The Gen X generation, we fly under the radar. Nobody cares about us, right? They don't. Smallest generation that's out there, right? Millennial generation's big. Baby boomers still around. Nobody cares about the Gen Xers. And we're like the net in a tennis match. The fight between the millennials and the baby boomers, and we're like the referee. Everybody looks at us. And much like the referee, they get mad at us as we've done anything. We haven't done anything. The one thing that we have an advantage over is we speak millennial, right? And we speak boomer. We speak two different. We are the bridge. We are the bridge between the two. We grew up in a day and age where we know what it's like to ride your bike around until it's dark without anybody watching you. We grew up in a day and age without play dates, latchkey kids, what a phone is, Atari. And we also have grown up in a day and age, because we created so much of it, of computers, the internet, Instagram. The okay boomer thing is funny, though. I love how mad people get. Speaking of workplace,
improved equipment, training, and working conditions in the last century have brought dramatic decreases in work-related deaths. Until now.
This has been the first year, and the deaths have actually crept back up a little bit, about 2% nationally.
Lorraine Martin is president of the National Safety Council.
That trend is something we certainly want to turn the other direction.
The council has set a goal of eliminating workplace deaths altogether. Falls are the top cause of those fatalities. Workplace violence is number 2.
Yeah. So, workplace deaths. Falls are it. When they did the last study where it came out, like, you're looking at 5,200 people that died. 5,200 people that died. Oddly enough, though, it's transportation that's number 1. Slips, trips, and falls, number 2. Violence was number 3. I mean, they're about the same. Because you're driving around in a car or a truck or something like that, you're more apt to die. Exposure to harmful substances, contact with objects. So drivers, sales workers, and truck drivers, number 1. Farmers, ranchers, and other agriculture managers, number 2. Grounds maintenance workers, 3. And this is just by occupation. Roofers, 4. Aircraft pilots and flight engineers, number 5. And when we talk about aircraft, it's not flying a giant aircraft. It's not commercial. It's people who small, every day you hear, wow, a small plane crash killed 2 people. That's the kind of stuff that is scurry. Don't get in those planes. Fly commercial, kids. Fatalities by age. 55 to 64, about 1,200. 45 to 54, about 1,100. 35 to 44, about 1,000. 25 to 34, about 870. And 65 and older, 775. Here's the one thing, kids, right? Here's some racism in fatalities. 3,449 of the 5,200 or so fatalities were white folk. Death cares not of your color. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Big night tonight in Nevada. They're going to battle it out. Bloomberg on stage. The socialist, the billionaire, the old guy who seems old, Elizabeth Warren, and I'm bummed there's no Yang. At least Yang was fun. He's on CNN now. He's a political pundit. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Bloomberg could take fire on a number of issues. One will be his self-funded campaign. Sanders and Buttigieg are attacking Bloomberg for what they claim is paying his way into tonight's debate. Warren is calling Bloomberg an egomaniac billionaire, but also on issues of race. Stop and frisk in New York and comments Bloomberg has made about the LGBTQ community. All of those could be fair game tonight.
And how he responds tonight will say a lot about what this race looks like. Because I do believe if he comes out, hits hard, doesn't take any crap, explains things precisely. Because everybody's got something, right? Everybody does. Is he an egomaniac? Yes. Has he said some things in the past? Absolutely. Stop and frisk. Redlining, we can go on and on. But if he comes out tonight and he is succinct in his answers, he comes at it and says, hey, and he's no fool. I think he's going to be totally fine. He could definitely separate himself from the other moderates that are in this thing. And yeah, he's got a ton of money. So what? Again, so what? One guy's asking me to pay for his campaign, and the other guy's like, I'll do it myself. I'm okay with you doing it yourself. Well, you're buying your way in. So what? He didn't buy his way in. He has every right to run for president of the United States. He has absolutely every right. Here's the thing. If he decided to do a Bernie thing and run on, I only want $5, give me $10. Hey, did you see how many people? Everybody who gives me, money, they only give 42 cents. That's great. People running over the coin, his entire campaign staff running over the Coinstar, pouring money in. Go Bernie. If he would have done that, people say, well, why didn't he pay for it himself? He can't win. But he does have some questions that he's got to answer tonight and that people are going to be watching. And saying, okay, Latino people, Vegas is different. This isn't Crackerville, right? That's the first 2 places, Iowa, New Hampshire, Crackerville. Couldn't got more cracker. You find more diversity at a Klan meeting than you did in those last 2 places. It's one of the reasons they're looking around going, maybe we shouldn't do this. We're all about diversity, but Iowa and New Hampshire, probably not the most diverse places we can find. Nevada, well, it's a caucus, and that's Saturday. Next Saturday after that, it's a primary with South Carolina. Much different. Much different. So, saying all of that, how he answers tonight will go a long way in what this thing really looks like. But he does have some things to answer for. What do you think? Got a poll up right now at Chad Benson Show. You can go there, check it out. Does Bloomberg have a chance to win the nomination on the Democratic side, or is this a waste of time and money? No chance at all, 26%. Very small chance, 24%. 50-50, 31%. Yes, he does and will, 17%. So across the board, there's not one blowout there. And I think he can be something to be reckoned with. And it would be interesting. And trust me, the Democrats probably prefer him over Sanders any day of the week because Sanders is not a Democrat. He's just not. He is a socialist that happens to caucus with the Democrats. But the reality is he's not a Democrat. He's not. He is a socialist. He's been that way for a long time.
Rich people, needless to say, who used to have the good life there, are not terribly happy. As a socialist, the word socialism does not frighten me, and I think it's probably fair to say that the Nicaraguan government is primarily a socialist government.
Yeah. Well, you love Nicaragua, right? Noriega's back. You got to have a smile on your face whenever he's there. People like that, they love that stuff. Noriega, right? Socialist governments, great. Soviet Union, not Russia, but the Soviet Union. Hugo Chavez. You liked him until you didn't like him. And, of course, our buddy Castro over there.
Everybody was totally convinced that Castro was the worst guy in the world, that all the Cuban people were going to rise up in rebellion against Fidel Castro. They had forgot that he educated their kids, gave them health care, totally transformed the society. You know, not to say that Fidel Castro or Cuba are perfect.
Not to say. Not to say that they were or weren't. So funny. Not to say they were or weren't. They did. They killed a lot of people. How many? We'll never know the exact number. You go and look and, you're looking in the tens of thousands, not to mention all the people that escaped. Yes, he educated people and he gave them free health care, but they didn't give them anything else, right? Stripped them of all of their dignity as a human being. He has been who he's been, and nobody's calling him on that. You've been who you've been. You scream you want to be like Denmark and Norway and all those stuff. Great, fantastic, knock yourself out. I'm not buying it. I look back. You honeymooned in the Soviet Union. You have praise for Castro. You said at one time when you heard what Kennedy said about Castro and what they wanted to do, it made you sick to your stomach. Made you sick to your stomach. We know who you are. You're not going to tell the world what you want to do. Nobody ever does. Castro didn't go in there and go, I got a great idea. I'm going to just tell everybody our plans. I'm going to tell them we're going to oppress them. I'm going to tell them that I'm going to rule with an iron fist, an authoritarian way. I'm going to tell them I'm going to stamp down on all of their freedoms. I'm going to tell them I'm going to take away their dignity and their individuality. And I'm going to tell them we're going to let them read. Who's with me? Doesn't go over well, does it? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Bizarre yesterday, the pardons that Trump decided to roll out with, and he just, again, he's Trump.
The president says he will commute former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich's prison sentence. He's also pardoning former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik and financier Michael Milken, who pleaded guilty for violating U.S. security laws. Kerik was nicknamed America's cop after the attacks of 9/11. Then he served 3 years after he pleaded guilty to tax fraud and lying to the government. Blagojovich made headlines in 2008 when he was convicted for trying to sell President Obama's Senate seat, saying it was, quote, bleeping gold.
You guys remember that? That was the funny thing. He still maintains, I didn't do anything. So he is going to, Blagojovich is I scratch my head.
I made a whole bunch of mistakes, but I didn't break any laws. I crossed no lines. And the things I talked about doing were legal. And this was routine politics. And the people that did it are the ones who broke the laws and the ones who, frankly, should meet and face some accountability.
Everybody's always innocent, even when they're guilty.
I'm going to fight against corrupt criminal justice. I'm going to fight against the corrupt criminal justice system that all too often persecutes and prosecutes people who did nothing wrong, who over-sentence people, who show no mercy, and who are in positions that have no accountability. They can do it and say whatever they want.
Just no accountability, kids. Why now? Why him?
We have commuted the sentence of Rod Blagojovich. He served 8 years in jail. It's a long time, and I watched his wife on television. I don't know him very well. I met him a couple of times. He was on The Apprentice years ago. Seemed like a very nice person. Don't know him, but he served 8 years in jail. There's a long time to go. Many people disagree with the sentence. He's a Democrat. He's not a Republican.
Yes, Democrat. Fantastic. I'm going to let him go. It'd be fantastic.
It was a prosecution by the same people, Comey, Fitzpatrick, the same group, very far from his children. They're growing older. They're going to high school now, and they rarely get to see their father outside of an orange uniform. I saw that, and I did commute his sentence. So he'll be able to go back home with his family after serving 8 years in jail. That was a tremendously powerful, ridiculous sentence, in my opinion.
Yeah, so his charges, Mr. Blagojovich. By the way, if you go back and look at Illinois, it was crazy. There's all kinds of stuff. So he tried to sell the seat, right? He tried to sell the seat. But there were a lot of charges. A lot. They found him guilty on one charge of making false statement with a mistrial being declared on the other 23 counts due to a hung jury after 14 days of deliberation. After a retrial, Blagojovich was found guilty on 17 charges, including wire fraud, attempted extortion, conspiracy to solicit bribes, not guilty on one charge, and the jury deadlocked after 10 days of deliberations on the 2 remaining charges. He was sentenced to 14 years, probably a little bit harsh. Right? They don't like you lying to them, though. Does everybody get that? Right? You ever watch Live PD? Just tell the cop what you have. A lot of times they're like, well, you know what? I'm gonna cite you for this, this, and this. I'm taking this. Don't do it again. Move on. But then when you lie, it pisses them off. It's the same thing with the feds. Don't lie. Martha Stewart went to jail not because of insider trading, because she lied. She pisses them off. You know, don't do that. It's the cover-up. Just say, I didn't know. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it's on me. My bad. What do you want me to do? Well, just pay it back. You're going to get a fine and a slap on the wrist, move on with their lives. You lie, then they start to dig, then they find other things, they overturn that rock, there's all kinds of other stuff, and then they start just boom, boom, boom. I watched Live PD last week. This guy's like, dude, don't lie to me. Just come clean. Because if you don't come clean, I'm going to start writing tickets for everything on this car. Dude came clean, he just got a warning. He had some weed. But if he wouldn't, he says, man, I'm going to write you up for your life. Because he had like an out tail light, expired tags, the whole night. But just come clean. That's all they ask. Still, Blagojovich? Really? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. My Pillow, brand new. Brand spanking new from My Pillow. Towels, you say, Chad. I do. Are they nice? Extra soft. Are they super absorbent? Yes, they absorb everything, you say. How about the luxury feel? Very luxurious. And the feel? Awesome. Oh! Colors? 5 designer color choices. 30 by 56 bath towels, 16 by 30 hand towels, and washcloths too. Oh, my. 100% USA cotton. What's that mean? No cheap softeners or fillers. So nice. Incredible. 30% off right now. 60-day money-back guarantee. Oh! Check this out. Go to MyPillow.com. Yes, I'm writing this down. Click on the new radio listener special. Okay. Type in code Benson. BENSON. You're right. 30% off. 60-day money-back guarantee. These are amazing towels. You're going to love every second of these. Just enter promo code Benson. Again, a 6-day money-back guarantee. You're going to love these things. MyPillow.com, new radio listener special. 30% off these amazing towels. 60-day money-back guarantee. Type in code Benson. MyPillow.com, code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? So much stuff is trending. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's start with the Google. Trumpocrat, birtherism, Norwegian, Hollywood Hills. Why are they trending? Norwegian, because something about Buttigieg learned to speak Norwegian so he could read his favorite author. People are excited about that. Jaws. One of the big things that is trending is what movies left you scared as a kid. I will tell you this. Jaws was scary. Why? Because sharks are real. And every year, some people get bit by a shark. And every year, a few people die from it. Snake bites aren't as cool. But more people die from that. But it's the thought of something eating you. That's very real. That's very, very real. R.I.P. Smoke. Why? Because, yes, kids, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Yet another rapper has passed away. Pop Smoke has died at age 20. He was shot and killed in what appears to be a home robbery Wednesday morning. Head on over to the magical world of Google. Rod Blagojovich is trending still. Absolutely. Cory Booker is trending. Why? Because his girlfriend has come out as Rosario Dawson, who's an actress. I think she's... I don't even know anymore at this point in time. Everybody seems to be... you're lesbian, you're hetero, flexible, I don't know. It's all over the place. It's you're over here, and then you're over there, and then everybody's over here. And Harvey Weinstein is also trending in the magical world because today is day 2 of deliberation. What will happen? What won't happen? What's it look like? You know there's going to be an appeal if he loses. Does he go to jail right away if he loses? How's this all play itself out? What goes on, Harvey? I don't know. I sit there and I listen to them talk about Weinstein, and I still have some issues with some of the stuff when it comes to the victims or the alleged victims in this situation continuing to carry on relationships with him. Not just for a couple days, but for months and months and years afterwards.
Weinstein has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. This entire case hinges on the accounts of the 2 main accusers. If jurors don't believe them, Weinstein could be acquitted of all charges.
Yeah, she's like, what? It's possible, right? It's also possible he's not. It could be a hung jury. This could take days. I don't know. What I do know is as a juror sitting there, I listened to and read a lot of what they said, and you're like, that is very compelling. But then I go over here and I see emails and text messages and love letters, and that's also very compelling. So you've got to weigh what happens. And just because you kept on a relationship doesn't mean he wasn't abusive and awful, and we all know that. So it's hard. If you're a juror in this thing, you know, and again, if you've ever been to jury duty, you think to yourself, really, this is the best we can do? So, I don't know. It is to be very interesting. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Watch out when you go to the library in Santa Monica, because something may be going on that has nothing to do with reading. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts,
independent life. This is Chad Benson.
What is your plan for remedying the terror that has become embedded in our schools?
It is heartbreaking to hear you walk through that, because it's in the specific way you described it. I'm thinking about terms like dispersion of targets and the difference between cover and concealment that are things that I learned as part of military training. And part of why I believed I was in the military was to serve potentially in conflict zones so that kids in schools in America would never have to have that experience.
So here's a perfect example of the bubble that we live in, right? And you never want to diminish something that's happened. Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, real things. Individuals lost their lives. Kids wiped out senselessly. You don't want to diminish any of that, but we have this bubble around us of it's everywhere all the time, and we can't let it breach the security bubble. And the reality is it's not. It's not. April 20th, 1999. Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris killed 12 classmates, a teacher, then they killed themselves. Since then, we think it's every day, all the time. It's 24/7. You kiss your kid goodbye. Chances are you're never going to see your kid again. It's a good chance. The reality? Since then, school shootings are down. Yeah. On any given day since 1999, you have a 1 in 614 million chance of being killed on a campus during a shooting. We think it is a daily occurrence, right? We think it's absolutely. Kids are going to die playing football this year. Kids are going to die from flu. We have seen that. Kids are going to die traveling to and from school. Kids are going to die at home because of guns. But it's a big thing to talk about. We want to address it because we are living in the best time in the modern history, and we think about this. We think this is an epidemic, that it's everywhere. And it's not. It's not everywhere. It's not every second of every day. It's not kiss your kid goodbye and you may never see them. It is none of those things. It isn't. It's funny, though, when you think about it. You have more of a chance getting killed by a shark or struck by lightning or winning the lottery. But we think those. But because they're in front of us, we have this 24/7 media saturation. You know, when Columbine happened, there essentially was one place to go, right? As far as, you know, all the news was carrying, like your ABC, NBC, CBS, they all broke in and carried it. But eventually they went back to regular programming. CNN stayed with it. Now we have everybody who lives their lives on cable news and Twitter and everywhere else. So you see every single thing that takes place in that moment in time. And we believe that that's what it is. It's not. He's right to address it. Talked a lot about other things, but we have this kind of thing where we believe everything's coming for us. And part of that is because we have it so good that when something does breach that bubble of protection that we have, we think it's so much bigger and that this is an epidemic and that it's actually real and it's actually happening and it's 24/7, and it's not. But you are inundated with it 24/7.
That kids are going to have active shooter drills sometimes before they're old enough to learn how to read shows you that this country has its priorities wrong. Actually, no. Washington has its priorities wrong. Because you look at something like universal background checks. It won't save every life, but it would make a big difference. This is something that the vast majority, not just of Democrats, but of Republicans and gun owners already believe we ought to do. It's 80 or 90% support in America, and we still can't get it through Washington.
We shouldn't be having active shooter drills. I mean, yeah, the more you practice stuff, the better you are. But psychologically, what's it do to kids? Right? Because it makes it seem like it's not if, but when. When I was a kid growing up, I lived on the West Coast, Long Beach, California. Cold War was real. We'd have sirens that would go off once every, like, on a Tuesday or a Monday at like 8:30, and we'd practice doing stuff. As a just in case there was what? A launch, an attack? It's more than likely than getting shot. Same thing went for earthquakes, obviously. We're in Southern California. You're preparing for stuff like that. Middle of the country. They know what to do when there's the tornado warning goes. Those things are real. But we have politics behind something like a school shooting. And when the tornado happens, minus the climate change here and things, and even though it wipes out a town, it gets 10 minutes of coverage on something, and they'll cover it. Outside of that, it's a small little area that maybe takes a hit in the middle of nowhere is the way they look at it. It's flyover country, move on. That's real. People don't want to say that, but that's very much the truth. Now, if it kills hundreds, potentially thousands, it'll be all over. But we do look at these things now and what moves the meter. And that's the way you look. If it bleeds, it leads. It's a horrible thing to say. I didn't coin the phrase. The media did. And if it bleeds, it leads is very real. Good news doesn't get covered the way that bad news does. And whose fault's that? Well, it's our fault. Why? Because we continue to turn in to bad news. It's more interesting for a lot of people. There's a reason you slow down and you take a look on the side of the road to see what the accident was like. There's a reason for that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from you tonight. They'll be on stage battling it out. What's it going to be like? Well, tell you one thing. Bloomberg's there. Could be interesting.
Michael Bloomberg isn't even on the ballot here in Nevada, but he will be on the debate stage tonight, leading up to his debut on ballots on Super Tuesday. Bloomberg's team is confident coming in here, telling reporters Joe Biden's campaign has collapsed, and they see it as a three-man race for president. Bloomberg, Sanders, and Trump.
Yeah. Three-horse race at this point in time. I still think Buttigieg is there, but Warren, I think, she's done. I think Saturday is going to prove a lot to that. Klobuchar, she's hanging around. Got to give it to her, right? She's got a shoestring budget, but she's still there. Steyer, he's got money, but God, is he useless. And when you see him get around some of these politicians, he's like a fanboy. Oh, can I meet you? I do think it's a two-horse race with potentially that other horse being Buttigieg having the opportunity to move forward. But tonight's going to be a big night. If Bloomberg can come out and withstand these hits, they're going to come at him and say he's an oligarch, right, because of all the money. They're going to come at him and say that he is a misogynist because of things he said in the past, that he's LGBTQ, that he's a racist. If he withstands those, and I think he will, those things it's not like people didn't know about these things. They just didn't uncover this stuff. These have been around for a while. I think he comes out and he goes strong. I think he can make some noise. But a lot of what is going to happen on that Tuesday night, right, which is 13 days away now, the 3rd of March, a lot of what's going to happen there for Bloomberg will be because of tonight. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. Got a poll question up about Bloomberg. What do you think his chances are? Good chance it'll win the nomination, 50-50. Small chance, no chance at all. Take the poll at Chad Benson Show. I love reading. I think reading is amazing. I try to tell my son every single day. I do the same thing with the kids that I teach in my class on Sunday school. Talk about reading, and I talk about, reading the Bible, talk about all kinds of stuff, but I always talk about the more we learn, the more we earn. But getting kids excited about reading isn't easy. And if you hear this story, you may never want to send your kid to a library again.
That's how I walk.
Yeah?
No, I love taking long walks.
It's a porn stunt apparently meant to get clicks, but it's provoking outrage. The video shows a woman exposing herself on Santa Monica streets, even outside John Muir Elementary, then carrying out sex acts inside the Ocean Park Library.
God forbid a child walked in the library and walked right in on the middle of it. That's my biggest concern. Children don't need to be exposed to this. If you want to do porn, stick to the hotels.
Stick to the hotels. I was just like, whoa, man, Jimmy really likes reading. He wants to go back to the library again today. So this lady and dude filmed it, I guess, on their iPhone or whatever, and they wandered into the Santa Monica, one of the libraries. And just let's not forget that there is, more libraries in this country than McDonald's. Something you didn't know, but now you do. Oh, we're not done.
So the phone's in my pocket, guys. The phone is in my pocket. I'm just to get by security yet.
Take a look. The woman in the video walks into the library, apparently during business hours, and shoots the video, all while talking about not getting caught. We couldn't reach city leaders on a weekend, but McLaughlin says they're well aware of this video.
They say that it's a misdemeanor, and unless they witness it themselves, there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, well, welcome to Southern California, right? Now, all the while you go to some of these, and you got the homeless, and you got all the other stuff that goes with it. But now you can go into Santa Monica. I'm surprised they didn't say it was art. Oh, kids, we got to allow you to expose this. We got to expose this to you because it's art. It's art. It's not. It's porn. It's people trying to make money. And when you try to make money in a day and age when there's so much crap out there, you've got to go extreme.
The video was uploaded to a porn site that pays per click. The man in the video's face is never shown, and we're not naming the woman, but a search shows she has other adult films. And in this age of pays per click, people are going to extremes to get views. And McLaughlin worries the laws are not keeping pace.
We have to have laws to stop them from doing things that puts children in harm's way.
People are so stupid. Those people are idiots. What were you thinking? Right? What were you thinking? You're not. That's the whole point. You're selfish. You're thinking about yourself. You think it's funny and a neat idea that you go and do something like this. And in 5 or 6 or 10 years, maybe you got a kid yourself. You look up and you say, oh, my God, what have I done? What was I thinking? Maybe you don't. Again, your morals, I don't care what you do. I don't. But I also think there's a time and a place to do all kinds of stuff. This isn't like skinny dipping somewhere or you guys making out in a park. This is a public area. We're getting kids to read, and that's really the thing that matters most. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Raycons, best earbuds around. Save 15% right now. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Love mine. I got the E25s. Everybody I know, I try to get them a pair. They love them. Discreet, stylish, and cool. You will love them because of the price. So you go out and you get the little white ones with the stems or the dangly ones, and you think, oh, these are great because they got such a name. And then you realize, wow, I paid how much for those? How about this? This is about a half to a third of what you pay for better quality sound, 6 hours of playtime, Bluetooth pairing that is seamless, more bass, and a compact design that gives you a better noise isolating fit that is delicious. Whether you're listening or rocking out, taking phone calls, doesn't matter. How do you save big? Simple. You go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Save your 15% on top of your big savings already. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here. Just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Allison Haviland says the gator nearly flipped the kayak she was in. She said this when she called 911.
You know how they do that roll and the tail flips around?
Yeah.
That's what it did on our kayak. I don't know how it didn't touch me.
A Seminole County 911 dispatcher stayed on the call with her as Haviland was picked up by a helicopter. She says she considers herself pretty lucky.
How many people get to say they were almost tipped into the river by an alligator and then lost in the woods and a helicopter had to come find them on a Monday night?
She, her friend, and their kids are all fine. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Yeah, they're all fine. So I was in Florida. God, I must have been 19, and I was my buddy Jay, who owns a large reptile company called Prehistoric Pets. You go to YouTube. He's got millions of subscribers. He's turned this place into a zoo. It's incredible. But we went out there and we decided. So we had his two daughters. We had him and our friend Jeff, who worked with us. We were all out there, and we were going to go on one of these kayaking things because we were out there for 2 weeks at these huge reptile conventions, and we were gathering stuff for the store. He was still building everything up, and so we do this kayak thing. And if you have no idea about Florida, it's like it could be a puddle on the ground. Just assume that there is a alligator in it. So we do this little kayak thing, and, first you get in there and you don't realize, okay, the kayak, this is going to be like 4 or 5 miles that we're going to be doing. And I'm like, oh my God, right? Some of these things are big enough just to get one little kayak through, where you got to dip your head. So we're doing that, and then we come out, and then all of a sudden it's this wide open water, and you look over, and there's like 20 alligators on both sides. So this is not your normal, like, everyday thing. And a couple of them get in, and they go right under your boat. You can feel them scrape it. And we're all reptile guys, right? But I've got his 2 daughters in mine, and I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to get eaten here trying to save 2 kids that aren't mine. But it was, you go to Florida, it's wildlife. You go to Florida, get ready for it, kids. It's everywhere. And nature, as we all know, will mess you up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. One thing nature also can do, potentially, is cure stuff.
Snakes like this one here are absolutely terrifying. I admit I had to build my confidence just to hold Jimmy here. But some scientists actually think some snakes may be the key to battling cancer.
People tend to have a visceral reaction to snakes in general.
But for UNC professor Stephen Mackesy, a room stockpiled with hundreds of venomous snakes is a room stockpiled with potential.
These are compounds that evolved to kill other animals, in general wreak havoc. Turns out they're actually a very logical place to look for therapeutics.
Yeah, big time. Why? Because they got venom. And guess what? Venom's been used for a lot of stuff.
Snake venoms have been used since the 50s to treat things like high blood pressure in millions of people. But when it comes to using venom to combat cancer...
When you think about looking for a therapeutic drug, you don't turn first to something like a venom or a toxin.
By extracting venom and testing the protein and compounds, Mackesy and his students have learned many venoms are successful at killing cancer cells.
Yeah. And they're looking around to a lot of different things that this thing might actually be able to help with that won't kill the patient, but will kill cancer. And there's a lot of stuff. You look at things like sharks. Sharks don't get cancer. Why do certain animals not get any of these things? What is it about them? And what can we learn from them? And venom is one of those things that they're looking at, saying, what can we take from this and extrapolate that will be good without killing people? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. The debate. Will it be great or will it be, yeah? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
For a New Hampshire primary, I asked you after Iowa if you consider yourself the Democratic frontrunner. Now, after New Hampshire, do you?
Who cares? I mean, all I know is that...
I think the number 2 and 3 care.
That's good. But all I know is that we take no votes for granted. We are a hard-working campaign.
Yeah. Tonight is it. And I say it's it because you've got, for the first time on stage, that evil billionaire in Mike Bloomberg. But Bernie's ahead by double digits, according to most polls. But the momentum, along with Bernie, also happens to be with Bloomberg and his money. In fact, I just got an alert from Wall Street Journal. This is what they're saying from the Wall Street Journal. Bloomberg's campaign is hiring people to post on their personal social media accounts in support of their candidate and send texts to friends about him. How about apples that are those apples, kids?
You know, Mr. Bloomberg has every right in the world to run for president of the United States. He's an American citizen. But I don't think he has the right to buy this election. We pride ourselves on being the longest-standing democracy in the world, and we're proud of that. But I do think it's a bit obscene that we have somebody who, by the way, chose not to contest in Iowa, in Nevada. I'm worth $60 billion. I have more wealth than the bottom 125 million Americans. I'll buy the presidency. That offends me very much.
Now, I will push back here. You're asking everybody to pay for your campaign. Secondly, how is he buying the presidency? Because he can spend all the money he wants, doesn't guarantee that he's going to win the nomination or win the presidency. It doesn't. At the end of the day, who you are, your message, your personality will be the thing that gets you over the finish line. That's the reality of it. Right? And you're trying to give away the presidency, meaning you're trying to buy the president by giving away everything you possibly can. If it's not nailed down, take it. But make sure you vote for Bernie. But Bloomberg will be there, and it's not just Bernie that's after him. He's got the bullseye, if you will, on his campaign tonight.
Bloomberg's rivals making it clear that tonight they are coming for him.
To all of those billionaires who think they can buy elections, we are a democracy, not an oligarchy. You're not going to buy this election.
Elizabeth Warren tweeting, at least now primary voters curious about how each candidate will take on Donald Trump can get a live demonstration of how we each take on an egomaniac billionaire. The former New York City mayor has not been on a debate stage in more than a decade, and he's never been on one this crowded. His rivals have been debating for months now.
If I'm correct, I think he was on one of the last times he was on a debate stage. Wasn't the rent was too damn high guy on the debate stage? Wasn't he running for mayor too? This will be different. She is correct there. Because you're running for the highest office, not in the land, but in the world. And everybody there is coming for you. You're coming in midway through a marathon. So we'll see how that goes. But I can't remember the last time I saw two candidates really starting to put some distance and some momentum behind everybody else. That is some people who fared quite well in the first two, one caucus and one primary. And yet at the same time, a guy that's getting in this late has got some fuel.
Bloomberg is seeing his support rising, and that's backed by our new ABC News Washington Post poll out today, showing Bloomberg's numbers rising and Biden's support dropping dramatically. Biden down 11 points since January. Bloomberg is up 6 points. Bernie Sanders is still leading the pack with a whopping 32% support among Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents.
Yeah. This will be an interesting thing, too. So tonight's the first one where I'm going to really, because normally what I do is I'm on the air, I'm doing stuff. I will listen to some of it. It's hard to watch and listen, and I either listen to it later on my drive home or I'll rewatch as much as I possibly can because I still got to prep for the shows and everything for the next day. Tonight, I've got a lot of stuff to do, including I'm out here in Phoenix. Trump is in town. He's making his West Coast move through, raising money, meeting with Ellison and a few other people. He's going to go all over, and he's going to be in Phoenix tonight. So it's a very interesting thing to see this because this is, I think, going to go a long way in who's going to be the nominee. I don't think Bloomberg can win it outright. It would be a miracle. But I think he can make it a brokered convention, which has been his plan all along. Make it so he's then got to go sell himself to the hierarchy of the Democratic Party. And I think he believes he can sell himself much better than Socialist Bernie. Because the Democrats, they don't really want the Socialist Bernie. They don't. They could say, "Oh, we'll get behind this person. We can, we'll do whatever we need to do to see Trump out of the White House." But are they ready to roll the dice on a 78-year-old socialist who's had some issues with health, and he's talking about radically blowing up the system? We're not talking about changing a little bit. We're not talking about a little bit of something different. We're talking about a guy that loves the likes of socialist dictators, has so in the past, has heaped praise on them.
When Castro came to power, they did a lot to eliminate illiteracy in that country. So yes, you don't have to praise everything about Fidel Castro. It's a dictatorship. It's a poor economy. We want changes. But have some good things been done in Cuba? Yes.
I keep playing that over and over, and I'll do it again and again and again because you listen to him. This is who he's been his entire life. This is who he's been, and he's not going anywhere. He's not changing his attitude. He can throw Democrat in front of socialism all he wants, right? That's like throwing tall in front of midget. It means nothing at this point in time. We know what's out there.
Democratic socialism. Young people listened to Bernie Sanders and they said, yeah, democratic, that's good. Socialism, yeah, that's that social media stuff. Because our kids no longer learn civics in school. They no longer study Western history. They no longer read Western literature. We are trying to change and dumb down the system. And if you don't know what happened in the past, you're going to have to relive it.
Yeah. And he's right. And he'll have his chance tonight because he's got a lot of issues. He's said some things in the past. He has done some things in the past that he is going to be forced tonight to address. And I think a lot of people want to find out before they go full Bloomberg. Explain yourself.
Black and Latino males aged, let's say, 16 to 25, don't have jobs, don't have any prospects, don't know how to behave in the workplace.
I think we disproportionately stop whites too much and minorities too little.
Xerox says pass it up all the time. They are male minorities, 51%.
Redlining, where banks took whole neighborhoods and said, people in these neighborhoods are poor, they're not going to be able to pay off their mortgages. Tell your salesmen don't go into those areas. Once you started pushing in that direction, banks started making more and more loans where the credit of the person buying the house wasn't as good.
Slowly decrease the benefits or raise the eligibility age for Medicare and for Social Security.
If you show up with prostate cancer, you're 95 years old, you should say, go and enjoy, have a nice day, lead a long life. It's no cure. You want to know, is somebody a good salesman? Give him the job of going to the Midwest and selling that some man wearing a dress should be in the locker room with their daughter. If you can sell that, you can sell anything.
He's right. Some of those things were spot on right. But we also know in this day and age, feelings trump fact every day of the week. You can point something out right here and say, here's the facts of it. We talked earlier about gun violence, right? The chances of you getting killed at a school in a shooting is 1 in 614 million to 1. But you can't say that because that's just wrong, right? We override our feelings, and the statistics, even though they don't lie, aren't the truth to individuals. Everybody's got their own story. But some of those things, I mean, you listen to it and you're like, yeah, redlining. When he was talking about the fact that they were giving out loans to people in areas where their credit wasn't good and they could not afford the homes because we were trying to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to be a homeowner in America when a lot of people never should have had the opportunity to buy homes because of their credit and because their lack of an income that could sustain what they were purchasing. But we can't say that. We got to say it's the banker's fault. It's this person's fault. Somebody else. No, that's just the reality of it. We can't say stuff like that. You know it and I know it. Not now. Can't say stuff like, you've got to champion the fact that somebody is going to go into a room and in a locker room and change and is going to be physically a boy, even though identifying as a girl. And even though it makes her feel bad or uncomfortable, she can't say anything because to do so would be what? To make her some sort of phobic. It's tough, man. Trying to get it all right and check the boxes. Tough. But if you want to win people over, you tell them nice lies. Soft lies. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Lightstream. Here's something that's not a lie. Average national interest rate on credit cards over 20% APR. I got a credit card offer the other day. Like the first year was like 4 or 5%. And then after that, it was like 22.9%. Something ridiculous. I'm like, ha! How about this? Get rid of all of those. Get a credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. Rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay. Much lower than the national average. Get your loan from $5,000 to $100,000 with no fees. You can even get your money as early as the same day. I keep telling everybody, you can do it right from your phone. Got a text message the other day. Somebody's like, I did it right from my phone. With like 3 days, I got my money. I said, is that easy? Lightstream will take care of you. And yes, you do get a special interest rate discount just for being my listener. You go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's lightstream.com/Benson. And you will get a special interest rate discount. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Pittsburgh's Dr. Timothy Wong refuses to take insurance. He charges $35 for a primary care visit, and treating some problems costs just $10 additional. No membership or hidden costs. Wong says by eliminating the overhead of insurance paperwork and staff, he can afford to charge less. Wong says of the traditional system,
we had so much inefficiencies, we were letting down patients, and it was actually worse than I even realized.
Wong cites stats showing about 25,000 people in Pittsburgh have no insurance. He estimates that if he sees 20 patients per day, he can make a living.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of different ways. I have a concierge medicine, whatever they call it. I pay just a flat fee a month for the family, and we like call the doctor whenever I want. He's got a cell phone. Text him. He'll text me. What do you need? Do you need anything? Can I come by? The whole 9 yards. And it's like $149 a month, and then we pay his cost. Like, so let's say, a kid breaks their arm or climbing on the tree, or riding their bike. You go, x-rays right there. That's all partly included. And then, we pay his cost if he has to go do something a little bit more inside of it. And this is the way that I think a lot of doctors, because when you look at it, was the study done that we talked about it just before Christmas, that like 35 or 38% of the cost of your doctor visit is strictly paperwork and administrative. That's insane. We're not even talking about the prices jacked up and trying to get retail prices on stuff that's cost. We're talking about that. So if you're a doctor and let's just say you get, 500 patients, you charge them $50 a month for a flat fee, and you give them full access, you're doing all right. You make $25,000 a month. And then along the way, some of the other stuff they may need, but like if I need a prescription, I don't charge. He sends it right in, texts me to the phone what I need. It's amazing. And yeah, you get and this is where I think medicine should be going, which is give people the opportunity to have the catastrophic and then let people pay cash in certain areas or whatever it is that they want to do. Give people the opportunities to do the right thing for their health care that fits what they want. Not one size fits all. We're taking your taxes. Everybody gets this, blah, 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 blah. But give people the concierge service that they wanted, or give people the a la carte service if they want it, or if they're 22 and they want a half catastrophic because they feel healthy and invincible and they're never going to go see the doctor and it doesn't really matter, give them the opportunity to have that. We're having this debate when there are fixes out there. We're having this debate when there's opportunity to fix these things in real world solutions, capitalistic solutions. But it's not about health care for somebody like Bernie. It's about being the end all to be all. It's about control. Go look at the manifestos that have been out there before. And I'm not somebody screaming and yelling and think that we're going to become Venezuela. We're not. Bernie's going to have a lot of trouble getting anything through. But you go look and you see how you start to move what it is that you want to do radically. You make yourself, your government, the end all to be all, that people have to come to you for everything. That's what Bernie wants. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
To have public statements and tweets made about the department, about our people in the department, our men and women here, about cases pending in the department, and about judges before whom we have cases, make it impossible for me to do my job and to assure the courts and the prosecutors in the department that we're doing our work with integrity.
That's Barr from last week. Very interesting, Barr, because people calling for him to resign, right? So Roger Stone, the recommendation for Roger Stone's, and you guys know who he is, Crazy Roger, was like 3 years or something like that originally. Prosecutors, and you go and you look and they say, okay, what's the recommendation they want is 7 to 9 years. But then you look and essentially they've got okay, well, we're looking at precedents before this. It's not that. The guidelines are more 2 to 4, maybe 3 to 5, 7 to 9 seems a bit much. What happens? Trump comes out, and as he's doing stuff, Barr had already said, no, hold on here. The Department of Justice didn't recommend it. You guys recommended that, not the Department of Justice. You guys did. Then there's the big kerfuffle. And it makes it seem like that Barr is essentially a puppet for the president. He comes out, does the interview, and says, hold on a second. I'm no puppet, right? At all. I'm not going to be bullied. But his incessant tweeting is ridiculous.
I cannot do my job here at the department with a constant background commentary that undercuts me.
Yeah, that's his tweeting. Trump yesterday, because Barr is now telling some people close to him, I've had about enough. I'm about ready to bounce. I've had just about enough of this. Maybe it's time for me to go.
Are you making his job impossible?
Yeah, I do make his job harder. I do agree with that. I think that's true. He's a very straight shooter. We have a great attorney general, and he's working very hard. And he's working against a lot of people that don't want to see good things happen, in my opinion. That's my opinion, not his opinion. That's my opinion. You'll have to ask what his opinion is.
I think he said that because people are saying there's a lot of things that you can do right now and that you're going to continue to do. Right? There's a lot of things that are going on out there in the world of chaos because you're the chaos king, right? Anthony calls Barr the drama queen. Trump is the chaos king. Together, they're royalty, if you will. But don't lose Barr. Here's the thing, though. If Barr does resign, it could be a win for the president in a lot of ways the Democrats would hate, and ways that if you really think, because so many people want him to resign, so many people want him to go away, so many people want him impeached, they want to remove him. Well, what happens then?
If Barr is to resign, then what happens? Then what you probably see is an acting attorney general, not confirmed by the Senate, who is willing to play ball to some degree with the president. And so you may see someone who is even more politicized than what we've seen from Bill Barr. And, you know, when people are calling for Bill Barr to resign, that's something to think about.
Yeah, that's Dan Abrams right there, legal expert, who also happens to be the host of my favorite TV show, Live PD, Fridays and Saturdays night. Catch him. Sean Sticks Larkin. My man Tom. He's right, though. They'll just put an acting AG in there who will be a puppet. I don't think Barr's a puppet. I don't think Barr's a puppet at all, but I think he's stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to Trump. I think he looks and say, a lot of this stuff is ridiculous, it's overdone, but me doing my job, you do your job. You tweeting about all of this stuff, it makes my job look so much more political than it needs to be. It makes my job tougher. It makes me look like a puppet. But he's Trump. That's the thing about it. He's Trump. Trump lives for tweets. Trump lives for this. Trump masterfully used social media to become president. It was a huge part and reason why he became president. And he acknowledges what it means to him.
Social media for me has been very important because it gives me a voice, because I don't get that voice in the press, in the media. I don't get that voice. So I'm allowed to have a voice.
Yeah. And he's not going to stop it. I think that's the thing. So many people I talk to say the same thing. Oh, I could do with his policies. Right? I could do with his politics. And I don't even mind the fighting every once in a while. It's the incessant fighting and the way that he tweets all the time and the way that he starts a fight. He could pick a fight with his shadow. I was talking to somebody who's a huge supporter of Donald Trump yesterday. Says the same thing. He's another on-air host. Says the same thing. They all say the same thing. But I could do with less tweeting. He's never going to give tweeting up. Never, ever, ever going to give tweeting up.
The president has been able to communicate directly with the American people through a social media outlet. It is something that helped propel him to the presidency. It's one of the things the American people love about him is they can communicate directly with him. He's going to keep doing it. It's what he's done from the beginning, and I think it's a very effective way for him to communicate with the American people.
Yeah. That's it. It's his straight hotline to every individual out there that loves him. But like we've always said, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Does the president have a right to tweet about a case? Of course. Just because you can sing, though, doesn't mean you should sing. You can have a voice like Mick Jagger, but you wouldn't want to start belting out honky-tonk woman in church. This is a case where tweeting less would not cause brain damage.
Yeah. But he does. And he's not going to stop. So if you think at some point in time he's going to dial it back, that will never happen. That is never going to happen. He is going to continue to do what Trump does, which is be Trump first and foremost. He is his own worst enemy, and at the same time, he's his best salesman. And he will continue to sell it to his base because he feels he knows his base better than anybody else. And who is anybody else to tell him he's not? Because he's president of the United States, and he got there because of what? Because he knew his base. He directly connects with his base. But it makes everybody else's life around him chaotic and hard, and will continue to do so. And you know, when you go to work for the Trump presidency and inside the administration, that there's a sell-by date, because at some point in time, you'll either had enough or he'll have enough of you.
Michael Bloomberg isn't even on the ballot here in Nevada, but he will be on the debate stage tonight, leading up to his debut on ballots on Super Tuesday. Bloomberg's team is confident coming in here, telling reporters Joe Biden's campaign has collapsed, and they see it as a three-man race for president: Bloomberg, Sanders, and Trump.
At this point in time, it's hard to argue. I mean, Biden is, for a lack of better term, flatlined, right? Warren flatlined a while ago. Buttigieg is interesting because a lot of those suburban, voters like a lot of what he has to say. In real life, is him being gay going to be a problem? In some areas, I absolutely think it's going to be. I really do. For me, it's not a problem. I care less. I don't care. I just, are you competent enough to do the job? But saying all of that, he doesn't resonate with people of color, right? The Latinos, we'll see. African Americans, we know he struggles with. So there's a lot in there. Warren, Klobuchar, sorry, the excitement's not there. Tom Steyer, why are you still on stage? Why are you? Is there any way Bloomberg could just give him back his money that he's already put into this thing and just tell him good luck? So I think it is right now a two-horse race in the race to become the nominee. And that is Bloomberg and Sanders. And let's remember who Sanders is. And I'm going to be calling it out all day. Let's go back and talk about Sanders and talk about some of the things that he loves that isn't being brought up.
What about the poverty that socialism helped create?
American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
Not here. That's a good thing? That's a good thing they're lining up for food? Know this. The thing about socialism and what he wants, which he'll never get, I don't foresee him ever getting it. Because there's a lot of Democrats who would stand in his way before the Republicans would ever have a chance to stand in his way. But the one thing that they don't tell you is where they want to take the country, right? His praise of Castro, Chavez, Che Guevara, Noriega, the Soviet Union. You can go on and on for people that are strong men who've decimated and destroyed countries. Always picks only the best. Well, Cuba, look at Cuba. Look at us. Everybody can read. That's great. Everybody has health care. Yeah, but it's 1950s. That's it. It's 1950. They're oppressed. They're beaten. They're tortured. They're controlled. Oh, but they all have health care. He is a socialist. And tonight, Bloomberg will have a chance to call him out for a lot of these things while they call Bloomberg out for, you're a racist. You've said so many bad things, right? You once, what's the whole thing? You called somebody who was transgender an it? I mean, they're gonna come. Now, how he addresses these things tonight will be mightily important. And I think he's got a chance to either really surge or look tonight like he is wanting and potentially see this thing go south quick. But if he gets through this tonight with flying colors, he's right. It's between him and Bernie. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Raycon. Here we talk about Raycons. Like, what are Raycons? I saw a guy a couple weeks ago, played soccer, went to get a drink afterwards, right? So, and there's a guy rocking out, and he's fixing the slushy machine. And he's got Raycons in. I'm like, do you like your Raycons? He's like, I love them. They're earbuds, the best earbuds around. There's no dangling wires. There's no stems. Half the price. So you're going to pay half the price for better quality, better design, cool, stylish, better fit. Yeah, sign up. E25s, 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, more compact design. What's it offer you? Nice noise isolating fit. Perfect for on-the-go listening, working out, taking phone calls, you name it. Unlike all these other crazy earbuds and stuff that are out there, the price point is amazing. Sound quality is awesome. And they tested it by taking the people that matter. When Ray J put these together, he took it to pop stars and rock stars and country stars that he worked with in the music industry and said, listen to these, Snoop Dogg. What do you think? He's like, I love them. There you go. You will too. Save big right now. On top of it being about half the price of all these other things, you're going to save 15%. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Oh, that is a scene from the creepy classic movie The Exorcist about a possessed child. But that is not just the stuff of Hollywood. It also happens in Harrisburg, according to the man whose job it is to chase away evil spirits. Helping believers find God is one part of Zeta's job. Chasing away the devil is another.
The bishop said to me, I have something I'd like to tell you. I'd like you to be my exorcist.
What? Look, if they want to get people more involved in the church, there's ways of doing it. They discussed last week, and the Pope decided no married people, right, as far as priest and whatnot. Well, that's on you guys. It is what it is, and continue to do the same thing over and over, and you'll continue to get the same results. But also, everybody gets a shot at fighting a demon. Everybody gets a shot at an exorcist.
Have you ever seen a demonic possession?
Oh, absolutely. More than one.
Job one, Zeta says, is ruling out mental illness, which weeds out many claims. But there are rare instances.
Case where a person was possessed, and it literally took 4 full-grown men to hold the person down.
Another didn't know Latin, but answered Zeta's questions fluently in Latin. Work of the devil, he insists.
Work of the devil. Some interesting stuff, though, right? Because there are stuff, that's what they say, 99% of it you can look at and say, just like with UFOs. Good majority of them. You look at and say, it's this phenomenon, it's this, it's that. But there is that 1 to 5% where you say, we can't explain it away.
And then the local girl with seizures.
The doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. Tranquilizers were not working. They stepped out to consult. They came back in and found her climbing up the wall, literally, like Spider-Man.
In the name of the Father!
Zeta says the Exorcist movie is fairly accurate.
It burns!
The possessed rarely approve.
When you sprinkle holy water on a person, then they really react. Pretty good clue that this was demonic.
Having an exorcist in every diocese is literally just having a safety plan in place. Having a fire extinguisher in every sort of hallway in the building. We've got one there just in case something comes up.
There you go. There's some creepy stuff. The guy who did The Exorcist, right? You go and he did God, what was it? It was a documentary last year, and it was absolutely amazing. Bill Friedkin. You go and Blatty, they wrote the book and directed the whole 9 yards, but the screenplay. But you go and look at the documentary that he did, terrifying. Far more terrifying than the movie. And the movie still to this day holds up. I mean, the special effects don't, but the creepiness does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can, text the program. Take it. Does Bloomberg have a chance tonight and forward?
Michael Bloomberg isn't even on the ballot here in Nevada, but he will be on the debate stage tonight.
Yes, he will be on the debate stage tonight. Bernie, Buttigieg, Warren, Biden, him, Tom Steyer, and A.B. Klobuchar, they'll be on the stage. Who wins? Well, tonight will go a long way in deciding the fate of Bloomberg and potentially this race and whether or not it's going to be a brokered convention or Bernie starts to really distance himself. It'll be interesting indeed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. MyPillow. Love MyPillow. They now have towels, extra soft, super absorbent, luxury, feel and look. 5 designer colors. Now's your chance to save 30% off with a 60-day money-back guarantee. You will love them. This isn't cheap. This is 100% USA cotton. No fillers, no cheap softeners, none of that stuff. You get the most amazing color designs, a luxury feel and look, and like I said, super absorbent. It's simple and easy. Save yourself money. Get the luxury feel you want and you know you deserve. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the new radio listener special. Get 30% 30% off these amazing towels. It's mypillow.com. Enter promo code Benson. Save yourself 30% and get a 60-day money-back guarantee. You will not be disappointed. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Got you over the hump in a short week. At least it was for me, kids. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll talk about the debate. Look forward to the caucus and next week. It's Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.